Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Homosexual conduct should be illegal. Yes.
Should be illegal.
Yes. It is immoral. It is defined by the law as detestable. It was against the law in most states until the Supreme Court in Lawrence v. Texas said that it wasn't.
We have kids driving by shooting each other that they don't even know each other. They're acting like animals because we've taught them they come from animals. They're treating their fellow man with prejudice because we taught them they come from animals, not from God, who despises that sort of thing.
You wonder why we're having problems in Newtown, Connecticut, all across our country with killing, stealing, committing adultery? Because we've forgotten the law of God.
We wouldn't be having the demonstrations and riots and division in our society if we returned to one nation under God as it was. We return the knowledge of God to our land, and God will heal our land. I believe in the Second Amendment.
Washington Post reports that Moore has been accused of initiating a sexual encounter with a then 14-year-old girl.
In regard to the other girls, you understand this is 40 years ago, and after my return from the military, I dated a lot of young ladies.
Do you remember dating girls that young at that time?
Not generally, no. No, I don't remember that, and I don't remember ever dating any girl without the permission of her mother.
I think it was great at the time when families were united, even though we had slavery.
We promote a lot of bad things, you know?
Like?
Same-sex marriage.
That's the very argument that Vladimir Putin makes.
Well, then maybe Putin is right. Maybe he's more kin to me than I know.
What would you say to him?
Здравствуйте, как вы поживаете сегодня?
Oh, it's decision day in Alabama. And happy Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. I wonder if Hanukkah, the holiday, is going to have some sort of an effect on the turnout in Alabama. Yeah, I don't want it to get in the way of people casting their votes, having to buy 8 gifts all in one night. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that the Moors think they have the Jewish vote all locked up. You've heard this, haven't you? This was last night. There were so many strange moments last night at that rally that Roy Moore had. There was this crazy, Roy Moore was, just disappeared. He just disappeared, and he let President Trump go to Pensacola, to Floribama, basically, because apparently there's a warrant out for Trump's arrest in Alabama. I don't know. He wouldn't set foot in Alabama, but he would go just 17 miles from the border, and he would endorse Roy Moore from Florida, but not in Alabama. And Roy Moore has been off the campaign trail for about 6 days. And last night he had this, last get out the vote sort of a thing with his wife and some of his friends who he hadn't seen in 40 years. I don't know. It had some of the weirdest moments I've ever seen at a campaign rally, because Roy Moore is one of the weirdest candidates I've ever seen come out of any campaign. I've just never seen anything like it. But, Alabama has a decision to make today, which is, Alabama is not a place associated with making great decisions. Can we all agree that that's true? Because the last decision I think they made was in 1865. Yeah, where they said we give up, and they have regretted that decision ever since. So, I hope this Hanukkah holiday doesn't keep the 25% of the Jewish vote that, of course, is going to vote for Roy Moore, because Roy Moore has Jewish friends, or at least a Jew as a friend. This was crazy.
Fake news would tell you that we don't care for Jews. I tell you all this because I've seen it all, so I just want to set the record straight while they're here. One of our attorneys is a Jew.
What? One of our attorneys is a Jew. And Roy Moore once hired a black man to be a marshal. I swear she said that at the Supreme Court when he hired the first African-American marshal. Not a law clerk, a marshal, whatever the hell that is. Kayla, can I just tell you, if Roy had had more than one Jewish lawyer, he might still be on the Supreme Court of Alabama. Just saying. Just saying. I don't want her or any of these more voters lighting candles for Hanukkah. I don't want them lighting anything because in Alabama, when they light things, it's typically a cross or a black church. You know what I mean? So put down the lighters, Alabama, and play with the dreidel. I guess is my best Hanukkah advice for you. Just play with the dreidel and vote for the guy who has a Jewish lawyer. Just the one. Just the one. Oh my God! Have a latke. Put the lighter down. Eat one of those chocolate delicious gold coins. I don't know why we have gold coins. Do you? Why do we have gold coins? I thought we chased the money changers out of the. I don't know. They're chocolate. Who cares? It's chocolate. Yeah, this was like the strangest campaign rally I had ever seen. But you know what? The strangest one was, the strangest rally we had seen up until this point was a Trump rally, right? He'll pay your lawyer's fees if you deck an African-American man, right? So it's been all really, 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 really weird on the Republican side for almost 2 years now. You would think we would get used to it, but they had a high bar and they freaking met it. Because she came out and said, well, I just want you to know my husband Roy loves the African American. Why, he was the first one to ever hire a black marshal at the Alabama Supreme Court where he had to resign twice for ethical violations. And we have a Jewish friend. Well, he's not really a friend. He's an attorney. That's what he is. And then they downshifted into this guy named Bill Stolley, I don't know what his name is. He hadn't seen Roy Moore. I swear to God, they're pulling these people like out of the freaking woodwork, okay? Hadn't seen Roy Moore in more than 40 years. 4 decades, okay? But he gave his testimony about Roy Moore's character last night by reliving Roy Moore's appearance unwittingly in a Vietnamese brothel loaded with young, nubile, firm, little Vietnamese girls. And according to the story, Roy Moore would not touch any of those young, nubile Vietnamese girls. Because apparently Roy doesn't date outside his race. I don't know, but check this out.
We got in his Jeep. He drove. He knew where he was going. And he took us to this place, which turned out to be a brothel. We walked inside. I could tell you what I saw, but I don't want to. It was clear to us what kind of place it was. And Roy turned to me in less time than it took for someone to come up to us. And there were certainly pretty girls, and they were girls. They were young. Some were probably very young. I don't know. I don't remember that. I wasn't there long enough. Roy said to me, "We shouldn't be here. I'm leaving," or words to that effect. In fact, I think those were his exact words. And I said, "Roy, I'm with you." I said, "But what are we going to do with the other guy?" And he said, "Well, if he stays, he's on his own." So we went up to him and we said, "Hey, let's get out of here. We're going back." He said, "No, it's my last night in Vietnam. I'm staying. I can get a ride back. Take my Jeep." And we did. Roy and I took his Jeep.
He stole a Jeep because he wouldn't date outside his race. I mean, it's just, this was the weirdest, and this is the strangest campaign. And, like I said, you have a very high bar to beat when, we've been privy to 2 years of Donald Trump out there on the campaign trail asking blacks, what do you have to lose? Really? How about my self-respect and dignity? How about that there? Talking about Mexicans are rapists from day one, from the very first day. And, Roy Moore with his, anti-gay, his homosexual conduct should be illegal. Oh, by the way, there were protests outside of the Roy Moore this was an off-the-hook freaking round. Honestly, it just took your breath away. But there was a man outside of the rally who is a lifelong Republican, by the way, and he apparently had a gay daughter. And I say had because his daughter took her own life at the age of 23. Not because Roy Moore touched her, no, but because she was a gay girl in Alabama. And all of this anti-gay sentiment that passes for polite conversation in Alabama was all too much for her. Her own father was not accepting of her gayness, still does not know if you're born that way. Let's all send him a Lady Gaga tape. He does have regrets about the way he talked to his own daughter, but he cannot vote for Roy Moore because Roy Moore actually says these things out loud and will govern that way. And this man has learned his lesson. His name's Nathan Mathis.
You're supposed to uphold the Constitution. The Constitution said all men are created equal. Well, how's my daughter a prevert just because she was gay?
Okay.
Does it mean she was born gay? I don't know the answer to that. But she was gay. There she is.
Are you a man of faith?
Am I a man of faith? Yes. I am.
Being out here tonight, what do you hope to accomplish?
I don't know what I'll accomplish. I really don't. I had mixed emotions about coming, but somebody needs to speak up. And if it's all to no avail, so be it. It won't be the first time I've done something to no avail, okay?
How far of a drive
But my
was it?
sign there speaks for itself, and my sign is true. Sir?
How far of a drive was this for you?
I'm only about 15 to 20 miles away. I was born here in Midland City.
Sir, are you suggesting that the suicide of your daughter was because of...
No, I'm not suggesting that. I was anti-gay myself. I said bad things to my daughter myself, which I regret. But I can't take back what happened to my daughter. But stuff like saying my daughter's a prevert, sure, I'm sure that bothered her. Now, Judge Moore not just said my daughter. He didn't call my daughter by name. He said all gay people are preverts, abominations. That's not true. We don't need a person like that representing us in Washington. That's why I'm here.
Well, if he could take it all back, I wonder if he would take back prevert and make it pervert. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. This is really where we are. So a major, major decision day on Hanukkah for Alabama. Not the place associated with making the greatest decisions known to man, but okay, this is where we are. I want you to know the Senate's already meeting, the Senate is, just in case Roy Moore wins, because if Roy Moore wins, they lose. And if Roy Moore loses, they lose. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Those are results I can live with, sorta. The polls are all over the place. I couldn't tell you for the life of me. All I can tell you is low voter turnout, 25%. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.